Live from the King's Building in Monrovia, Broader Buchanan Street, this is
ABC 105.1 FM.
live from the King's Building in Monrovia, Broader Buchanan Street. This is
ABC 105.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Antonio, Miss Royalty Baby, and I want everyone in Liberia to know that I love listening to
105.1 FM.
Okay, folks, good evening and welcome to the very first edition of the program Career Path. And the time in studio is 5 minutes past 7 o'clock. Welcome to the first edition of the program Career Path, a program being brought to you through the kind courtesy of the Atlantic Broadcasting Corporation, ABC Radio 105.1, a program designed to help our younger generation and those struggling to choose a career path. A program that brings professional people from different backgrounds of life and professional life, people that come and share their story, their struggles, and their success stories as well. And on today's edition, we have in studio a very young, brilliant lady I'd like to say good evening. Welcome to ABC Studio, ma'am. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. And she's a professional person, and she brings a lot to the table when it comes to portfolio.
Okay.
And so my name is Martin Fagans, your presenter and your regular host, saying welcome to the first edition. This is a historic moment for us here at ABC on this platform because our first guest is female.
Nice.
And I'm a feminist, I believe in the power of female, right? So I like to say welcome to this edition. If you are a younger person in high school, having the passion of getting somewhere today or tomorrow in life, this is the program that sets the pace for you to choose a path. And so welcome to it right here. And I say welcome. Stick and stay with us for the next 1 hour as we'll be delving into her professional life, her struggles, and she will be giving a word of advice as to why you as a younger person should choose the path she chose back then. Stick and stay. I'll be back. And so today on the program Career Path, our guest is Margaret Venessa Odarkai Blankson. Hope I'm getting that right.
Yes.
Okay. She is a young lady, a 34 years old female, a Harvard trained with over 10 years of experience, an accountant, and an administrator. And we'll be finding out more from her herself on the program. Stay tuned. We'll be back. And we go straight to our guest. And so welcome to the program Career Path. As first, we have to give you our African proverb. And our African proverb comes from Somalia. And it says, he who does not seize opportunity today will be unable to seize opportunity tomorrow. And our wise words for today, our career path quotation says, your career is like a garden. It can hold life energy that yields a bounty for you. You do not need to do one thing in your career. And I chose this because of your path.
Okay.
Based upon what we discussed.
All right.
So I'd like to say welcome to ABC Radio. The program is Career Path.
Okay.
Career Path, many a times I thought it wise to bring this program to the public because our society today, you will agree with me on this, and I stand to be corrected.
Okay.
Many of our young folks choose a path not because of a passion, sometimes because of a friend, just to keep in line with a friend in college.
Right.
Because my friend is Venessa, and we came down the road from down there. I don't want to miss my friend. I want to be always around her. So once Venessa chooses engineering, I have no idea, no passion. I go there. So the program taught it wise. I guess you've been to the US. You know that in university, before people graduate from high school, they have the panelists that come up to encourage you why to choose a path, because they will tell you all of the odds and stuff they beat to get there, and they will share their success story. So this is the platform that we want to use to help enlighten our younger ones to create a path for a success story. Now, you are here today. First of all, introduce yourself for the benefit of those listening.
Okay.
And then tell us a little more about your upbringing, and then we'll go straight into the program. You're welcome.
Thank you again. So lately I've been called teacher, prof,
Yeah.
I try to contest their name, and I feel that, I think it's something I should embrace because I run an online platform.
Right. I follow.
Yeah. And, I try to set certain standards and correct daily, errors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So also, as you've mentioned, I'm a Harvard trainer. I actually have certificates training, from Harvard. Matter of fact, too, and I'm an accountant.
Can you just come a little bit closer to the mic, because the kids are listening and they might learn a lot from you today.
Great.
Great.
Is it
Thank you.
is it better?
Much better.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually an accountant and an administrator for specifically 11 years.
Okay.
I came out of college 2011,
Okay.
and I was blessed to have a job a couple of weeks after.
Mm.
And since then, I've been working. I see myself as someone who loves to impact people,
Okay.
give back. And in my lifetime, I've seen returns.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen God's blessings,
Okay. Yeah, sure.
different ways, different shape, different forms.
Right.
So I find myself into other institutions. Like I'm also the administrator of the MCMC.
Right.
Also a board member of Youth for Allowance and Progressive Initiative.
Okay.
That's our initiative that helps with people that are battling with drugs,
Okay.
sogos, and prostitutes.
Right.
I'm also on the board of my church, the Brown Memorial Zion,
Right.
church that's on Benson Street. And currently, the finance and administrative manager at Liberical Logistics.
Okay.
That's where I work.
Currently.
So currently, yes.
Okay.
And even while I'm doing accountancy and also administrative duties,
Right.
I also handle human resource tax also.
Right. So you multitask.
I'm a multitaxer,
Okay.
and I do not know how to say no.
Okay.
And I see everything as an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
This is a learning curve.
Right.
You don't know where you might land tomorrow.
Right.
So if you try to be versatile,
Right.
if you're able to multitask, that's not everyone do not know how to multitask.
Mm-hmm.
If you cannot handle several duties
Into today's world.
right, and you have several things on your plate, because the objective is for you to achieve.
Right.
So if you have too much on your plate and you cannot achieve one thing,
Mm-hmm.
you do not need to be called a multitaxer.
Right.
All right. So I found myself in that kind of era. I love quality. For me, quality first, quality last.
Okay.
And that happens with my interaction with service-oriented businesses.
Okay.
Like the person who sews for me, or the person who's my mechanic,
Okay.
or who's washing my car. We are a society that is satisfied with the bare minimum. So we need to go by standards and say, oh, hey, this is not right.
Right.
This is not what I pay for. This is not how it should be.
Done.
Okay. Lately, I started to tell people, let's start signing contracts with people that we deal with. Once we sign a contract and you do not deliver, or a certain amount is withheld. These small things. But basically, that's who I am. I've worked with international NGOs.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with private sectors. I've held positions of,
Mm-hmm.
Administrative officer, accountant, administrative manager, and several.
Okay.
So basically, that's me.
But let's just go
Yes.
back prior to all of the professional lifestyle.
Okay.
When did it all begin? Let's just start from your primary education, because I read your portfolio in
Mhm.
your bio. Life for you started at St. Teresa's Convent, I believe.
In a way, yes.
Right. So,
Because if we're going back
right.
a little step back too,
Right.
we will start to look at, was this your first school that you attended?
Okay. It wasn't.
Even though I started St. Teresa's Convent
Mm-hmm.
from kindergarten
Right.
to 12th grade,
Right.
I was in a school in Ghana called Land Rights.
Okay.
And it was the war that drove my family and I
To
in Ghana, yeah.
Right.
And then when things subsided in 1992, we came back. And so let's say my nursery, started at Land Rights in Ghana.
Okay.
And then I came to Monrovia. I also attended the early learning
school
yeah.
by then.
And yes, and I did not stay long there, but Convent has been it.
Right.
But it's just to give the actual view.
Okay.
It did not all start there. Now, through Convent, kindergarten to 12th grade, left school immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I went to college.
Right.
I went to.
You didn't stay there to say I'm waiting for
No.
a year.
It was not even an option. Now, while we go through, I will always reference my late father,
Right.
and he did well with his children and his kids. And I'm sure not only me as a daughter owns a lot to him.
But the rest of your other siblings.
Yes,
Right.
the rest of my other siblings, because you have an individual relationship with a person, with your parents, with your child, with a friend, with anyone.
Okay.
So I believe that they will say similarly
Right.
that he played a major role and he had that force. I remember being afraid to carry bad grades.
Right.
I remember also
Because
being
your other
instructed-
siblings were coming in with good grades, so you have to accept
not
it.
necessarily. It was just, oh no, you have you pass in a course, it's your major,
Right.
but you got a C.
Okay.
And my dad tells you
Your
have to
major, you should
repeat-
be up to
you
this
have
time.
to repeat this course.
Right. Right.
And I was grateful that I took advantage through his advice too.
Okay.
And let us catch this also. Children or youths have to listen.
Right.
You have to listen to who's advising you.
Right.
I reference, just to digress later,
Mhm.
when you mention, in the US, you have people come up
Right.
to,
So it's
drill
high
people
school to
about
drill
your
people about profession.
profession.
Right. It's in the Western world.
Yes.
It's a culture. It's a norm.
Right.
Before you graduate from high school, you have people to come to encourage you or
Mhm.
inspire you.
Good. Now, let us not forget that these kids are listening
Right.
if their futures are good.
Right.
So our youth too could get advice,
Right.
but they need to listen. They say age is wisdom.
Mm.
So people who are ahead of you,
Come with a lot of
advising
wisdom to
you,
the table.
you should listen.
Okay.
So going back to what I was saying, instructor, you have to go to vacation school.
Right.
So I took advantage of most of the vacation school.
To be ahead.
Yes. Because I mentioned that I did courses over that I got C
Because
in,
of your father's
right? But
principles.
I still managed to finish all the required courses.
Right.
3 years and a half.
Right.
So basically, we have this 4 years.
Tendency of finish
thinking,
university
finishing,
in
yeah.
that time. So,
So
you finish
3
within
years,
time.
right? Within time. So I will give it all to him too. That was how it was, and here I am.
Okay, so let's just delve into your professional life. One would ask, why did you choose the field of study as an accountant? Because I believe you did accounting major and with a minor in management.
Right.
Why did you choose that path to inspire others out there?
So this is funny because when I was coming up, I wanted to be a psychiatrist.
That was your passion.
That was my passion. That was how I see, yes. And while I'm an adult now,
Mhm.
I feel a little bit of those traits are in me.
Okay.
But I do not miss not being a psychiatrist and say, oh, hey, I'm an accountant and I do not like what I do. I do love what I do.
That's part of your
And-
childhood passion.
Yes. And there's a limitation in our country.
Right. Why is
I
it
want
so?
to do that, but then where am I going to learn it?
Right.
Where can you offer this discipline? That is another factor our country
that
is
limits
facing.
people to their passion?
The limitations. So you found lots of accountants,
Right.
lots of
Administrators, nurses.
managers, nurses, doctors, lawyers. That's all. And you have so much profession in the world that we are
You can
lacking
explode.
behind
Right,
as a society,
right.
as a nation. So to answer you, I
Mhm.
was advised also by my father.
Okay.
Now he was an accountant. Now my household is a household of accountants.
Accountant. So nobody can check.
And
Nobody trick you guys in terms of finances. and stuff like
right,
that.
maybe one day we'll have our own firm.
Accountant firm, the
Yes.
Blankson's accountant firm, right?
Yes, So, and it was just a simple advice that accountants are needed everywhere.
Right.
You need accountants in hospitals, you need them in church, you need them in private businesses.
One
you
it
need
has to
them.
do with financial
Yes.
transaction.
Right. So, Fagans, that's how I went into accountancy.
Okay. Well, did you create a passion for this field from childhood, like you said? Or is it something you venture into after you try something else and did not see it because you wanted to become a psychiatrist, like you said?
Yeah.
Did this field, apart from your father, I guess there must be other mentors who you watch them grow into this field, or is it because of the limitation our country brings to the table that you choose this?
So I'm going to tie in the limitations of our country
Right. First.
and listening to adults, listening to your father.
Mm.
And then there are some people that have influence over you.
Mm.
So you trust them, you trust God, you know, because of this limitation, and you go into a certain field as we
Right.
are discussing now.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So it was just that. And I had no turning back.
Okay.
It was not a thing where I started doing accounting and then I said, oh no, this is not working for me. Because there are people that face problem when they do not have the concept.
Right.
Accounting say it's the concept. Once you have the concept, you can flow through all of the different topics and whatnot. And it makes it easier once you have that concept from the starting part.
Okay.
Also, you're kind of
And what's the concept? One will ask.
Basically that whole debit and credit thing.
Okay. It's confusing.
That whole debit and credit
It's
thing.
it's confusing for somebody
Yes.
who does not know the way
Yes.
around the
Like,
subject.
simply put, not to talk or teach on that topic.
Right.
Revenues have a normal credit balance.
Right.
You debit your cash and credit service revenue or income or whatever you may call it.
Okay.
Expenses have a normal debit balance. You give or cash is debited, you send out
It's
cash.
debited.
Cash is credited.
It's credited.
Because cash left the business.
Yeah.
So simply put, and there are more twists, okay? And there are some that are intertwined. You have to know where to debit and credit as per a transaction.
Okay.
Okay, so for those two, they do not just change like that.
Okay. Well, if you're just tuning, I'd like to say good evening and welcome to the first edition and first presentation of the program Career Path, a program designed to create the passion for our younger folks, a program that brings professionals from different backdrops of life in successful fields to share their story, their passion. And for today's edition, we are hosting a young accountant and an administrator who's sharing her part here with us. Well, before we go further, after this question, we take our first break, and then we come back. We delve into a little bit of discussion. We open the phone lines later for you to, because there are kids who are listening right now.
No problem.
And will want to be a part.
Sure.
What are the benefits of having a degree in accounting and administration? You have one in business administration, accounting, and that of management. But then you failed to being an administrator.
Yeah.
So explain to us the
so
benefits.
just a little history, and I hope people might see this as an inspiration.
Right.
My first job was January 2012, and I went in as an accountant.
Right.
So my basic tax or my terms of reference,
The TOR.
yes,
Professionally, it's called TOR, right?
Right. Making reports, handling petty cash,
Right.
disbursing cash, gathering the receipts, making sure they're filed properly, handling accounts payable, handling accounts receivables, making sure that banking transactions as smoothly as in not giving checks that would bounce, dealing with bank reconciliations and stuff like that. When you look, I started doing administrative jobs. I started doing logistics jobs.
Did you feel frustrated being an accountant
No.
and going to
No,
another
so
side
I'm
of
basically someone that hardly have no in her mouth. And like I
It's
said,
yes,
I
and I'll
see
do.
everything as an opportunity.
Okay.
So I was not coerced, nor was I feeling bad that, oh, I came in for this, I'm being paid this, I'm doing
I'm limited
this, I'm
to
doing
this.
that.
I'm an accountant. I'm gonna
Yes.
stick to the field.
That's not a good advice to yourself.
As a professional.
As a professional, you have to broaden your scope. You will never know where life
Think
might
outside the
lead
box.
you. Yes. And this day, I needed my ID card, my office or my official ID card.
After your probationary period.
Yes. After that, months after, and my boss was filling out um the ID card form where he's supposed to sign.
As an accountant on your.
Yes. And he added the part admin officer
Wow.
because of how I was doing. You see, in life, even if someone wants to hold something that belongs to you,
For real.
God will let them to release their hand.
Mm.
I'm not saying anything along a line where my boss was a bad boss. No, he wasn't. You can be blessed till strangers can even favor you.
Right.
That's how life is. And once we understand these small things, we'll go on daily and not have any issues. So right there, I said, okay, because I was already doing the work of an administrator.
Right, sure.
You know, and that's how I embrace it. And sometimes people may come across questions like interview questions, job questions,
right,
that will ask you, what was the peak of your career? My peak of my career when I worked with OSIWA.
Yeah, the West
Open
African
Society Initiative for West Africa. They're not
Right.
here anymore.
Yeah, I think they came after the Ebola.
Yes. And that was how I got my biggest job.
Right.
And it was because of how I embraced a job way down the line, tax way down the line. Because my OSIWA job was 80% administrative
role.
and 20% accountancy or financial work.
So had it not been you having the experience from your first
I would
job,
not have
you wouldn't have
job.
served in that capacity.
Nope.
Did you feel frustrated at first when you came from the AME University with the portfolio and the CV as an accountant and a manager taking a different threat to becoming an administrator? How did you feel then?
Not
did you feel like I'm lost? I have no idea. What helped you to cope during that period?
Okay, good. First of all, I already had this habit of volunteering. I was in a Leaders Club for a long time.
Right.
And people play with volunteer tax.
Right.
Sometimes they're like, I'm not being paid for it.
Right.
But you raised your hand and said, I'm going to be available. There's something they call commitment.
Are you trying to be available to create a more bigger CV or
so
just to create the experience?
Building your own capacity, Fagans.
Right.
It's your own capacity. And you're networking with people. They see how when you have meetings and your distribute tax,
right,
and how when you come back, how you present the tax,
right,
how you're not saying, oh, I forgot, or giving excuses,
right,
how you're not being like a desical,
right,
you are actually delivering,
right.
And then tomorrow, on a wider and bigger scale, on a more beneficial scale,
for real,
you are recommended,
okay,
because that person had a one-on-one interaction with you. So people play with these things. So I had already come, I had already come from such a pattern or habits or orientation
from back down the line.
So I get here, like, you don't want to do something, don't do it, but you cannot be doing it and frowning.
Right.
So that wasn't even the case, given tax that, oh, this is not what I'm being here for.
Okay.
So I should, frown or turn it down. No.
Okay.
I saw it as an opportunity, and I would advise anyone to see such things as opportunities.
Okay, we got more questions for you. Let's take our first break on the platform right here. Something by Burna Boy we chose, and it's called A Common Person, and you just gave me a hint of that. After the song, we come back, we discuss a couple of stuff. We open the phone lines, hopefully at 7:40 for others to be a part. The song Burna Boy by Burna Boy here called Common Person. Miss Venessa Odarkai Blankson struck a call when she said even the common person down there needs to be improved and needs to get somewhere. Never look down on anybody, never be complacent about your current situation. Once you want to excel in life, you can do all the stuff. Stay tuned, we'll be back on the program Career Path. It's 29 minutes up to 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, we should be out of here.
I become a person for my happiness, so still be my own. Everybody get bro, no me say your own bro, pass my own.
Live from the King's Building in Monrovia, broader Buchanan Street, this is
ABC 104.1
I become a vessel for my happiness, so still be my own. Everybody get bro, no me say your own bro, pass my own. Because not God that they put on my plate, food on my plate, fit no to me, John. My colossal. Even as things could they go my way, even the days I not get nothing at all. My colossal. Now me wait they drive your bus, now me wait they drive your keke. My colossal.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Latonia on Miss World TV, and I want everyone in Liberia to know that I love listening to
live from the King's Building in Monrovia, broader Buchanan Street, this is
ABC 104.1
I become a vessel for my happiness, so still be my own. Everybody get bro, no me say your own bro, pass my own.
live from the King's Building in Monrovia, broader Buchanan Street, this is
ABC 104.1
Common Person, Burn on Board, time 25 minutes, climbing up to 8. The program is Career Path, a 1-hour production of the Atlantic Broadcasting Corporation, a program designed to help our younger generation see reason to choose a path in a certain career based upon their passion or perhaps the mentoring of folks that have been successful. And today we have in studio Miss Margaret Venessa Odarkai Blankson. Hope I'm pronouncing that name right. Well, she's in studio, a 34 years old accountant and administrator by coincidence, and also a manager. She has worked in lots of places. She is a conceptual thinker, a problem solver. Quality first is her primary objective. Quality last, commitment to organization and institution. A team player, a result achiever, supervising talents, mentoring, and multitasking. She comes to the table with a big portfolio, and she's here today to help, especially our younger sisters and brothers down there struggling to choose a path of their passion. Like you heard from her herself, her first passion was to become a psychiatrist, but based upon her father's pushing and persistence, she chose to become an accountant, and she told us to share her story with us today. I'd like to say welcome back to the program on ABC Radio 105.1. Now, today we have varieties and lots of colleges around town, right?
Mm-hmm.
And universities of young people are studying your field of accounting, right? How can they make themselves marketable amongst other colleagues with lesser corporate entities? You came from the field as an accountant,
Right.
but not many of them will be as smart as you to think outside the box.
Or even blessed.
Or
Yeah.
even blessed as you to have a boss who will see reason to give you the push to go in the administrative course. What would be your side to them to tell them that? Yeah, because people go to colleges, like we said, from the onset of the program because of friends.
Right.
So, and there are lesser corporate entities here that need, like you said, you can be an accountant at a job site, but when it comes to money, people are afraid to
Yeah.
have a stranger managing those things. What
Right.
can you tell them today?
So the first thing to encourage one that's in such a field is to stay humble,
Mm.
especially if you're coming from a university, you have a lot to learn.
Okay.
Yes, when I say, oh, what you've learned in the classroom
Right.
is different from what is outside,
Mm-hmm.
but hands-on experience is the best.
Is it the outside is more competitive than
The outside is more competitive. Someone is employing you based on your experience more than your documents or
right?
your degree.
What you can bring to the table?
Yes, they want that hands-on experience.
Mm.
So, for even sometimes women are disadvantaged
Mm.
because
How is it so?
Because somebody see a woman, they think of them as being just a secretary,
Okay.
and someone hear that this person is an administrative or financial manager, they give you a second look.
Do they feel threatened,
I don't know if it's in the lines of admiration
or is it because of a
or
masculine dominant society?
yes. Well, you know,
What can it be
women,
attributed to?
women. I think women have been marginalized from the days of old. It's an
Okay.
age-old problem that we are
They are
continuing
limited to
to
their
fight.
home,
Limited to the home,
family.
childbearers,
Okay.
give sex to your husband when he's ready,
Okay.
cook his food.
On time when he's coming from
You
work.
don't want to go there,
Right. No.
Fagans. So and there are still men that you're in a room, you're the only female, and they think that you should only have a listening role.
Okay.
You should not have a role to
To
contribute.
contribute to the.
And some of them would even want to shut you up.
I know.
Now, sometimes we women are automatically on the defense, which is not good.
Mm-hmm.
That's sometimes you hear people. That's why it's hard to deal with a woman or having a woman boss is a problem because sometimes people are orally on a defense when no one is attacking, and that's wrong.
Right.
When you are attacked, then you can defend. But it happens with us women and having such or career, stay humble. You have lots to learn, listen more, observe more. I will also suggest that you speak less,
Okay.
And embrace everything. See it as an opportunity.
Explore more options.
Yes,
Don't
I'm
limit
proud of
yourself.
where I am.
Okay.
So I will give you my methods that I've used.
What are your methods?
Those are basically my methods. If
Okay,
you are,
okay.
if you were, following,
Okay. I
stay
was, but
humble.
the others are not knowing that.
Good. Stay humble. Listen. Embrace tasks. See them as learning curves. Open your scope. Widen your scope. Learn everything that comes your way. Ask questions because the more you ask,
The
you
more
have
acquire
more
knowledge.
Yes, you get informed and research if need be. Now everything is on the internet.
Right.
Everything
The words
is on
at
the
your
internet.
fingertips today.
Exactly. It's not like when we were in high school where
You have
we
to go look
couldn't-
for books in the library.
right. So research before you can answer
A question.
an assignment
Right.
now everything you ask Google or YouTube basically will show you.
The way in the easiest way so far.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, being an accountant is something nice to do. There are benefits. So let's just start with the benefit that comes with the profession and the challenges also of becoming an accountant. I'm sticking with your profession, not your diversion in your professional life.
No problem.
Right. But you can also share your experiences on the diversion of becoming the challenges as becoming an administrator. But first, let's start with what you learned at the AMU University, acquiring your BSc, and at the master's level at the university, which is master's in business accounting
Of
and
course.
BSc in accounting.
Right.
What are the challenges and benefit that comes with learning this?
Learning accounting is
Let's start with the benefits first.
okay, good. So you want the benefits of learning or being an accountant?
Being an accountant.
Okay.
Right.
So being an accountant, you need it everywhere. Okay. And you get to play with figures that is, they're essential to the institution. to the business.
Okay.
So you have a key role,
Right.
even if you're not the accountant boss or the chief accountant or the
Or the
finance.
certified public accountant.
Yeah, you get to be at a position where you are essential.
Okay.
So if
How
there are
essential can you be?
layoffs, because you are handling the bank accounts.
Financial transactions.
I'm not saying that you are signing for
Right.
funds,
But
you are monitoring it, and you can basically give an advice to the institution, to your employers, to
Right.
your bosses. Oh, we are low. Oh, we do not have much cash. Or after doing the bank reconciliation, we cannot issue any more cash. Or the account was credited from this, vendor or
right.
this customer, sorry.
Right.
And basically, you have an essential role. Now, what I was coming to is that when there are layoffs,
Right.
you may not be the first that we're think on,
Right.
because you are having an essential role
Okay.
and you've been good at it.
Right.
Whatever you do, you have to be good at it.
Okay.
You have to do it to the best of your ability, even if you are a sweeper.
Right.
You cannot be doing things haphazardly, or when you're doing things halfway, it says that it's not done at all.
Okay.
So once you are good at that job, you will be hard to be laid off.
Right.
So it's good that you have an essential role, that you are needed. I would like to tie in being an accountant and
That's the
an
benefits we still
administrator.
own.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tying it in. Administrators tend to run the office or
Right.
tend to run the business.
Right.
So if even the cleaners
Right.
are not cleaning
Properly.
right, you have someone else that has a different position.
Right.
That person may not be able to sit in an office because it's not clean enough.
Right.
That cleaner falls on the administrator.
Right.
You have the provision in the office,
Right.
stationaries,
Right.
staple machine,
Right.
toiletries,
Right.
chairs,
The administrator covers all this. Right.
decks, whatever. The administrator covers that.
Right.
So that chain of command leaves the administrator to go to finance office for approval. That's where
Which
I
has to
sit
do with the
comfortably.
accounting. Right. Right.
That's where I enjoy.
right.
being
Coming to me
both.
for the finances to run
I'm
yourself.
tied in both, so I would definitely make things happen. Now, the structure in the
Mm-hmm.
institution will not be,
Mm-hmm.
that loose, that lots of power is sitting on one person's hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's still structured
Mm-hmm.
perfectly that, even if I'm not the one that will click approve
Mm-hmm.
or tend to write a check,
Right.
I would have influence in both areas.
Right.
So it gets beneficial being both the administrator, and being an accountant, So those are some of the benefits.
And let's talk
being
about the challenges that comes with the profession.
challenges, right?
Mhm. There must be challenges to
Oh,
become an accountant.
of course, even if it's just one or two.
Mhm.
Sometimes your colleague feels you're sitting on
All of the money, yeah.
the company money. You don't want to approve. You don't want to release the cash. You just making things difficult.
Yeah, because you don't want controlling all the money.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then sometimes they make statements like, "This is not your father's money" or something like that. So you, as a professional, should handle it professionally,
Mm.
because you will have people being upset with certain ways, and it's you that will communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, we have this issue, we have that issue, we have so and so command, or just whatever.
Okay.
So that's one of the challenge being an accountant. Next is figures.
Figures.
You
How
have
is
to make
figures a
sure,
challenge? Because it's something you
because
study.
it's complex.
How complex is it?
It's complex because you find out certain results do not reflect what actually is.
It's in the
reports,
Okay.
financial reports.
how do you
Mind you, we
reconcile
are
that?
finance.
How do you solve this?
So sometimes you have to go back to the genesis
Okay.
where something may have gone wrong.
Okay.
So is a tedious job.
All right.
You know, you could do extra hours.
Right.
You could work extra hours also at home.
Okay.
You could work days where others are seated or at home or having their leisure time,
Mm-hmm.
but you are working because of the kind of profession or the career path
That you
that you
choose.
took. But overall, because we're not here to discourage people now,
Right. We have to encourage them. What?
overall,
Right.
you are proud of what you achieve.
Right.
I have this income statement that is actual.
Right.
I have this balance sheet that is actual. This reflects exactly what the company was, like the assets
Or
or
what
the
they gain, or
liabilities
what they
or the
the
capital.
race that they
Exactly.
right.
You know, I have a good report that reflects our cash flow, and those reports, those documents
Right.
are used proudly by your bosses and also shareholders.
Okay.
So overall, it's an enjoyable field,
Okay.
especially being a female.
Okay. Well, if you're just tuning, I'd like to say welcome to the program Career Path. Career Path is an hour production here at the Atlantic Broadcasting Corporation, ABC Radio 105.1. If you are just tuning in, if you are a younger person out there wanting to have a passion, wanting to have a career in this field, study, and you are listening, even an older person, because many a times, even high school graduates, we find out that they go to colleges based upon their friend and what the friend choose to do. Well, she's here today. You want to learn from her, you want to ask a question, all you have to do is just call us on 0777 105 100. 0777 105 100 is that number that you could ask all necessary questions to this very young, professional, and talented person, an accountant by profession, but her career took a different trend as an administrator. Despite all of the odds, she's still B2B, a successful young person at age 34. Imagine all the accomplishment. That is something not often seen in our society today because of all of the circumstances surrounding getting to the top. Well, she's here, and she's here to inspire and encourage you. Well, if you're out there, sometimes folks just listen to the program and learn. And I believe if we don't have a call, somewhere, this seed has been sowed and will germinate and you fruitful at the end of the day. Well, welcome back to the program. Until we can get calls, we can be discussing.
Sure.
So, what subject do I need to be good at before becoming and thinking about becoming an accountant? As successful as you are, not as successful as you are, even more successful.
I would say none.
You can do that. Do that one more time. Okay. Yeah. So
I would say none. None. You do not have to be good at
you don't
math.
have to be good at math.
Nope.
Okay.
You do not have to, because you are not going to be learning math.
People will say you want to become an accountant, you got to be good at math. That's a perception being given to folks down there.
I would more lean on, you have to have a passion for it.
Okay.
You have to know what you're going into.
Okay.
People need to look at their career paths parallel to the personality test.
How do you reconcile
People
those two?
are not taking personality tests, especially in this part of the world.
Okay.
Now, these are resources. Like I said, everything is on the internet now.
Right.
You can take your personality test. They'll ask you different questions, diverse questions.
That has nothing to do with your profession.
That has nothing to do with your profession.
Is it to intimidate you?
It's not to intimidate you. It's to help you, Fagans.
Okay.
So you are answering these questions honestly.
Okay.
Because
being sincere.
Of course.
If you have limitations, you got to say it.
If you're gonna be sincere taking a personality test by yourself,
right,
nobody else cannot help you.
Okay.
So you take these tests, and then it tells you what your personality is.
Okay.
And then you can see where you want to lean. Now, there are people who are still struggling to determine who they are.
Right.
Like, who am I?
Right.
What do I love?
Right.
Because you see what passion does, huh?
Yeah.
It breaks barriers. it pushes you a lot because you are passionate about something.
Right.
You're not even when the challenges try to discourage you, to lay you down, there will be naysayers. There'll be people who will come in
Yeah,
with
people
negative thoughts. But
why you choose
because,
this path?
yes,
Will you be successful? What's in
right,
that profession? Yeah.
exactly. But because you have passion for it and everything, give it to God. Let
Okay.
Him direct you.
Okay.
Once you have God directing you
Mm-hmm.
and you including Him in your plans,
Right.
I believe you will rest or settle on the best dust.
Okay. My final question to you before your parting statement because of time.
Mhm.
This is a 1 hour production. So I believe this program is intended to have kids listening
Right.
because some kids are listening. Believe you me, they are listening and
Right.
they are taking hints from what you're saying. Now, what are some reasons of someone listening should obtain a degree in the field of study of accounting? What are those reasons you think?
You
Not
need,
because like unlike you
yeah.
that had a different passion,
Mm.
but got mentored and motivated by your father.
Mm-hmm.
Someone listening may not have those
Those
resources,
opportunities.
those opportunities
Yeah.
as you do.
Mhm.
So, what should they do differently?
Well, you know,
Mm-hmm.
people said situations can never be the same,
Right.
you know, and we have to be able to be strong if nobody else is strong for us.
For real.
You have to be able to encourage yourself if nobody can encourage you.
For real.
Sometimes ask yourself, what do I want for myself?
Hmm.
And most of the time, we look at short term goals, we do not look at long term goals. This is what I want for myself. This is where I want to see myself. This is where I want to be 20 years from now, 5 years from now,
To
10 years
project
from
the
now.
future.
Yes. So I have to work. I have to push myself.
I have to
I
wake up
have to
earlier.
yes. I have to wake up early. I have to read a lot.
I have to stay up
I
late.
have to stay up late. I have to say no to some hangouts.
I have to say no to friends pressure.
Right? I have to say no to even buying things
Mm.
because you could use that money to
To
buy
invest in your
data
career. Right.
and study and research, to buy books,
So you
to
have to
look
make the
at.
right choices
You
at
have
times.
to make right choices. You cannot be acting as you are still in adolescent age, stage.
And wanting to be a professional.
Exactly. You can't. You're not in high school anymore.
Yeah.
You are
You
an
are
adult
competing with
now.
professionals now.
Right. The world is here.
It's not about your friends anymore.
Nope. It's about you. If you think there are several people in this journey called life with
Mhm.
you,
Mhm.
you are lying.
It's
You
all
are
about
in
you.
it, you're one. So you have to be able to make right choices, follow or entertain the right company, the right environment. You admire someone who is productive.
Right.
Maybe that's how you start to get close to that person.
Right.
Some people have the grace to help people, be it with an advice, be it with resources,
For real.
be it with influence.
Right.
If
Or
you
just the
can,
word of advice.
just that's
Or
it.
encouragement.
Encouragement. Sometimes even the physical cash help,
Right.
because most of the time that is what we need.
Right.
And if you have that, there is no need of advising me.
Okay.
You can help my issues or my story or what I'm facing right now.
Right.
So just trying to get in the right crowd, look at what you want for yourself, motivate yourself, discover who you are, stick, be focused. We are not focused as youths in this country.
Hmm.
We are not. That's one of the
Do you
major
think
problems.
the peer pressure has a
Peer
major
pressure has a major factor, but we've been crying on peer pressure for
for
too
too long?
long.
So what do we need to do differently now?
Like basically those what I listed.
Okay.
Those are those things that I've listed. Like you have to see, do you want to end up on the streets? Do you want to be a beggar? Do
Or
you
a
want to see
disadvantaged youth.
disadvantaged youth? Do you want to see yourself being a nurse tomorrow? Because if you squander opportunities,
Today.
that is where, yes, you might end up tomorrow.
Okay.
So what do you want for yourself?
Okay, so time is of essence. It's not of essence on this platform. It's one of our greatest enemies, and we have 4 minutes left. The program is 1 hour production. So you are on this platform as our first guest.
Wonderful.
Right. So what would be your word of advice to this many youths in high school, colleges? Because every young child, we ask them when they're small, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a scientist, just being a professional. What can we do differently in a
Okay.
society that limits you
Right.
based upon limited resources?
Yes.
Your word of encouragement, you managed to beat all of these odds to be a successful accountant and administrator today.
Mhm.
The kid down there may not have the passion or that zeal as you today, or have the mentoring ability of their parents like you. What can you advise them to do differently to arrive at their passion and at the peak of their passion, or choose a path that will make them successful? And
You
your
know-
parting statement before I take leave of you.
Okay, good. You know, people do not know something that they call manual or mental labor.
Right.
Do you want to use your brain to, labor? Like most of the time we call it white collar jobs.
Okay.
Do you want to use that manual labor, being a barber, a beautician, a seamstress, a tiller,
Right.
and you could be successful at those,
Okay.
especially if it's exactly your calling. If it's your calling, you go anywhere else, you will not succeed because that's how God has made you. I called you to be this.
I tried that before.
Okay.
Yeah. I tried, a point in time because of marriage,
Okay.
pressure from marriage. And
Okay.
I took a trend in becoming an entrepreneur. I was a little bit successful, but at times you don't find happiness. You're
Yes,
there,
because
but then you miss
it was
the
actually your
studio.
passion. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Once you're at your passion, you'll be doing these things even while you're getting paid for
Yeah,
it.
you're getting the money, but you're not happy.
Yeah, but once you at somewhere where you're getting what you're doing, something that you're passionate about,
Even with a
it
limited
tends
salary.
to be fun for you.
Right.
You're fulfilled.
Right.
People most of the times feel that only rich people are fulfilled.
Right.
Then ask yourself why some of these people commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Because happiness is just not in everything.
Right.
You have to know what you want to do, and once you're doing it,
Mm-hmm.
you're good at it and you're happy.
Okay.
So if you are called to be a certain person and you drift away, you have to come back to be successful. You could break the odds.
Right.
You could extend. You could elaborate. There are people who started with, especially in other countries, I
Mhm.
don't see it here,
Right.
and neighboring countries, right, where they, are having a shop where they sell, let's say,
Basic commodities.
kobo,
Right.
or kobo, right?
Right. Right.
And you see months or 2 years after, this person has improved. They have a shop.
Right.
The certain area is decent.
Right.
It doesn't have to be expensive,
Right.
but it's decent.
Right.
For the sake of time, I just want to thank you for this opportunity.
Right.
And it's really great. It's a great show.
Right.
We have to think of many ways to give back.
Right.
And these small things
That we overlook.
these medium,
Right.
they're very important. We cannot keep criticizing our country, criticizing our
We have to
government.
build a new
If
society.
we cannot help,
Right. Right.
all of us hands have to get on board. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and good luck henceforth.
Okay. Our first guest on the program, career path, a 34 years old, young Harvard trained, over 10 years of administrative and accounting, working with international NGO. She brings a lot to the table, and I like to appreciate her presence here today. Hope you gather a lot of things from her, from the discussion. And our next guest on the next edition on Sunday happens to be an engineer, Mr. Delano Bryant, who will be bringing a lot to the table. This show seeks your sponsorship. If you're out there wanting to be a part, to be a blessing to this show, all you need to do is just visit our business office and talk to them about sponsorship. The next edition of this program surfaces on this radio next Sunday, same time, same station. The name is Martin Fagans. Do have yourself a lovely time. Goodbye.